Hola amigos y bienvenidos al canal. Me llamo Nuria y soy tu profesora de español. Now, as you can tell by this title, today I have another signage video. We went over the traffic signs in Spain video, which I will link somewhere over here. Today I have a video with some of the most common signs that you're going to see in Spain that are not universal. And in today's video, we're going to see what they mean. So in your next trip to Spain, you know exactly every signage that you come across, or at least most of them. Between today's video and the previous video like this one, you should have a pretty good knowledge of Spanish signs. Now, let's go and have a look at this sign. This sign is extremely common, and by now, if you've traveled to Spain multiple times, you probably know that it means open. And this one means close. So open and close for businesses. Another one that's very common that you might come across, especially if you're doing any sort of hiking or maybe you're at parks, is this sign over here. Agua no potable. This means that water from that fountain or whatever it is, it's not for drinking. So it's not for consumption. It's probably used for water the plants or for some animals, but not for human consumption. So if you see this sign here, agua no potable, means you shouldn't be drinking that water. Sometimes you're going to see this sign. And this sign, we do have a universal sign, which is this one for high voltage. So alta tensión means high voltage. This one over here is very similar to the English one, so you can probably guess what it is. So information, información. If I show you this sign, what do you think it means? Liquidación por cierre. It means probably that they have extreme discounts in the store because it's closing down. Por cierre, closing down. So liquidación por cierre, a closing down sale. Which brings me on to the next one. If you're in Spain around the end of the summer or after Christmas, let's say January, you're going to see this sign everywhere, which is rebajas, which means sales, and you can also tell by context what this is. But what about this sign? If I show you this sign, do you know what it means? How about now? That's right, it is recently painted, which implies that there still might be wet paint. You might find these in parks or businesses, in the frontal of businesses, sometimes in bus stops or train stops. So recién pintado, recently painted, or wet paint. Kind of equivalent to the wet paint sign in the UK. Now, what about this one? Fuera de servicio. How about now? That's right, out of order. Out of order. But sometimes you're also going to see a sign like this or a handwritten note that says no funciona. It doesn't work. Now we have our typical signs. Ladies and gentlemen, we have caballeros and señoras. Usually comes with a silhouette, so you kind of guess what is what. But just so you know, sometimes it doesn't. So caballeros and señoras. Now, this sign over here, you're going to see on museums or shops or vintage stores, things like that. It means do not touch. No tocar. No tocar. Then we have this sign here, which you're going to see, especially if you go to any campings or you go up the mountain or maybe a picnic stop, which says peligro de incendio. Peligro de incendio means that there's a danger of potential fire. Now, again, if you're in the countryside or things like that, you're also going to see this sign over here, which is prohibido el paso. It's forbidden entry. You cannot go through it. Which brings me on to the next one, which says coto privado. This sign means that it's a private property, usually used for hunting, so definitely do not go in. You may have also seen repeatedly this sign, salida, which you can see everywhere on any public transport, at the airport, shops, etc. So salida means exit and entrada means. Now if I show you this sign, do you know what it means? How about now? Yes, that's right, for context. So caja means tills. And if you're in a parking or somewhere that sells an X amount of tickets, you might see the sign completo, which means it's full. But how about if you go to a museum, for example, or an expo, an exhibition, or maybe when there are maybe in the summer when there are loads of small villages and there's like parties, fiestas, and you see this sign, entrada libre. Entrada libre means is free entry. That is that you do not need a ticket or you don't need to pay. Sometimes when there's entrada libre, you still need to get a ticket because there might be X amount of people per visit allowed, so just to count that number is not exceeded. Entrada libre means free entry. This sign you will be able to see on any shops or any ticket office, things like that, or museums, swimming pools, all sorts of type of businesses will have something like this with this on it. Horario de apertura, which means opening times. So horario de apertura, opening times. Now that we are into this kind of venue situation, I have a few other signs that you might want to keep in your head. So this one, primeros auxilios, if you see this sign, primeros auxilios, means first aid. So it will indicate where your first aid hut or person will be located. So primeros auxilios. Now if you see this sign and there's nothing else, prohibido fumar, you might also find this sign as well, but sometimes and in some places you will only see this sign, and that means it is forbidden to smoke. So no fumar or prohibido fumar. You might also find, if you're in a recreational area, that you encounter this sign, prohibido hacer fuego. Prohibido hacer fuego means it is forbidden to light any sort of fires. Prohibido animales. I think this one for context you can also make, but animals are forbidden in that establishment. Prohibido pisar el césped. This sign, prohibido pisar el césped, or sometimes it only says no pisar, which means do not step. No pisar el césped or no pisar. We also have these two signs which you might be able to spot anytime when you're walking around Spanish streets, which is se vende, for sale, or se alquila, for rent. So se vende, for sale, se alquila, to rent. And the last two is empujar, to push, or tirar, to pull, which you're going to find indoors. Empujar, to push, and tirar, to pull. Let me know what you think about this video. Did you think it is any good? Is it helpful for you? Have you learned anything? Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And until then, I'll see you on the next video. Hasta pronto!